Spider-Man has never been better. I just got back from watching Spider-Man Brand New Day in theaters, and thank God I bought my tickets 2 weeks ahead of time, because when I tell you that theater was packed, I mean that theater was packed. I even bought majority of the promo when it went on sale. I got the bucket right here, and I got like the cup over there. I got both buckets, you know what I'm saying? I even got the what's it called? The little color changing cup. Glaze me. But scroll that. Let's talk about the movie. Guys, it's been 4 years since we saw Tom Holland's Spider-Man on the big screen. So I decided to rewatch all 3 movies that we're going to be calling the Home Trilogy to see if they still hold up to this day. And, you know, people have been comparing Brand New Day to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. So in addition to watching the Home Trilogy, I also decided to watch Spider-Man 2 for the first time in a long time. Now, the question is Spider-Man Brand New Day better than Spider-Man 2? And to that I say, we should let Brand New Day marinate in our minds a little bit longer. And I'm saying this because the arguments being made right now are going to be made purely of pure nostalgia and recency bias. I'm not saying Brand New Day needs to be out for 20 years so we can all have a deep analysis of it to determine if it's better. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the title of the best Spider-Man movie, we can't be jumping the gun too quickly. But is Spider-Man Brand New Day better than the Home Trilogy? Yes, without a fucking doubt. It mugs all of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm actually one of the very few Spider-Man fans who actually enjoy Tom Holland's Home Trilogy. But you gotta admit, the plot for all the movies are kind of silly. But in his defense, all the Spider-Man movies are actually kind of silly. Except for Spider-Man-Verse, though. I think the plot for Spider-Verse is really fucking good. It really just comes down to the era that the movies were released in. Let's be real, if Spider-Man 2 was released today in the way that it is, I don't think the movie will be as praised as much. So what did Spider New Day do that the Home Trilogy was missing? Well, this movie has to be the most authentic Spider-Man movie. It actually feels like a Spider-Man movie. Now, you guys might already be saying in the comments, Denzel, everybody said it's the same thing. You're just a follower. Say something original. But you have to understand, especially coming from someone who just finished rewatching the Home Trilogy, Brand New Day is the most Spider-Man movie that you're going to get. And we have to look back into not just the Home Trilogy, but Spider-Man's run in the MCU as a whole. Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, and Endgame had Peter basically be the Iron Man Jr., the Iron Boy, fighting in space and all that jazz with the Avengers. And Far From Home, you had Spider-Man in Europe having to deal with a nigga who had a one-sided beef with Iron Man, you know, meaning that he doesn't really step outside of this freaking Iron Man shadow. He's still out there trying to do something for Tony or whatever. And then you had No Way Home, where we just had a multiverse slump in the MCU that contradicts everything else we know in the MCU about the multiverse and all the consequences. And it was all just based off of nostalgia slap to help progress the story. That's a discussion for another time. As much as we all talk about No Way Home, let's all be real. That movie was nothing but hype moments and aura. That's just what it was. Because if you really look into it, in addition to watching all the other MCU shows or movies that got into the multiverse, No Way Home doesn't really make a lot of sense. Here in Brand New Day, Spidey is on his own. He finally stepped out of all the other characters' shoulders. He's making decisions of his own this time. And, you know, he has the assistance of street heroes like Punisher to pull up here and there. And that's all we needed for these past 10 years. It's Spider-Man in New York doing Spider-Man New York things. He's not calling Spider-Man Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man for no reason. Not only that, it also feels like more Spider-Man because it's the fact that this movie is like 80% Spider-Man and 20% Peter Parker. This nigga stays in costume for damn near the entire movie, and now that I think about it, this might be the longest Peter has stayed in costume for any Spider-Man movie for that fact. Now, as much as I love Brand New Day, I still find it very fucking stupid that we needed an entire trilogy of movies within a 10-year run to basically serve as the origin story to get the rise version of Spider-Man. If I wanted to get into Spider-Man, but you tell me that I need to watch 3 movies to get the entirety of his origin, then you already lost me. I'm sorry. But hey, the time has passed. We let bygones be bygones, and let's talk about how my boy Spidey is currently doing right now. And it has never looked better. I can probably say that visually in live action, this is better than every Spider-Man movie that came before, except for Spider-Verse, but we're talking about live action. Spider-Verse is animated. And the suit in this movie is fucking perfect. The choreography is really fucking insane too. It doesn't look like the CGI slop that we have for the majority of the past Spider-Man movies. He fucking kicks ass. The wire work in this movie is actually crazy. The way he uses the environment to his advantage, like especially with his fight against the Hand during like the last fight scene of the movie, yo, he was pulling off them Insomniac Spider-Man moves. I'm not gonna lie. Anybody that played Insomniac Spider-Man on the PS4, bro, he was hitting them triangle circles. There's perfect growth for the characters. The pacing is really good. I don't really have too much of a problem with the pacing. All the character interactions and cameos, you know, they served their purpose. Wasn't really too stretched out. And, you know, it basically did what the home trilogy could not really get right, if you get what I'm saying. This is as authentic as you're going to get it without me spoiling it. Now let's get to the spoilers. So if you have not seen Spider-Man Brand New Day and you're planning to watch it and you don't want to be spoiled, then hey, skip to this get to this timestamp and get your lame ass off your bed and head to that theater and watch that movie. If you haven't seen the movie but don't care about the spoilers, then thank you for you know, sticking through, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I really do appreciate, you know what I'm saying, help the watch time retention or whatever they call it. I don't really pay attention to all that jazz. Yeah, let's get to this bread. Now, everybody and their dead grandma knew that Sadie Sink was going to be playing Jean Grey, and Marvel knew that shit. But what wasn't made clear was the role that she was going to be serving in this movie. Because Jean Grey is one of the first mutants introduced in the MCU. Now, Spider-Man has had his run-ins with mutants and the X-Men in the cartoons and the comics, but he never really had that many interactions with Jean herself throughout the years. So if you was to tell me that an X-Men, Jean Grey, is the villain of a Spider-Man movie, I honestly wouldn't know what to expect. And I have to say, she was done pretty well in this movie. She was given what she needed to shine without having this be some kind of definitive mutants / X-Men origin story. Hell, I don't even think niggas even mentioned the word mutants in this movie, because from what I can tell, mutants are still pretty unknown or classified in the MCU canon. It's as if all of a sudden mutants are just spawning all of a sudden in 2026, which I'm pretty sure is the year that this movie takes place in. I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of lose track of the years in the MCU now. I'm not gonna hold you. But, you know, I always kind of wondered how, you know, X-Men were gonna be brought into the MCU canon, because it looks like we're still gonna be staying in the same universe after Secret Wars. So the X-Men reboot is gonna take place in the same universe as the MCU. So I've always kind of wondered how that's gonna work, but I guess we will just have to wait for, you know, the X-Men reboot to actually drop, or at least wait for Secret Wars, and we'll make our judgments from there. But this movie did pretty well. It's tried to stay away from that while still introducing what's to come, while still keeping it a Spider-Man movie. I think having Jean be this misunderstood girl trying to find her sister is an interesting take on her. See, Marvel movies do not always have to be as accurate as possible to the comics, just as long as the changes that they're making are made in very interesting ways to help them stand out from their comic counterpart. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie about me reading 100 X-Men comics, because I haven't. But I have seen the Fox movies and quite a bit of the cartoons growing up. And to be honest with you, Jean Grey never really stood out to me other than being the Phoenix. If you was to get like 100 X-Men fans in a room and ask them who their favorite characters were, you're not going to get a lot of hands raised for Jean. And if you ask those 3 Jean fans what they like about her, they probably couldn't give you a concrete answer other than the fact that, you know, her being the Phoenix or anything related to being the Phoenix. She basically serves as a token woman character love interest, and I'm pretty sure that's like one of the main reasons why the Phoenix was even introduced, so therefore she could like stand out from that trope. But thanks to the role that she serves in this movie and for what she could potentially do in the X-Men reboot, she already sticks out a lot more than she did in her adaptations before pre-Phoenix. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store in the future. The dynamics Peter has with the supporting characters are really sweet, especially with my nigga Frank Castle, the Punisher. Now, I haven't watched all of the Punisher show, but I have seen him in Daredevil, and they did a really good job toning his character down for this lighthearted story. They made it in a way where you can still tell it's the same Punisher from the Netflix and Disney Plus adaptations, and to be honest with you, I did not expect him to be as important as I thought he was going to be in the story. It's almost sweet his dynamic with Peter is. He basically carries every scene he's in. And you know what? I might have to give him the MVP in this movie. For those who already watched the movie, you already know Peter's internal struggle he goes through this movie. He devoted his whole life to being Spider-Man, but, you know, this is in order to protect the ones that he cares about, leading to him being this isolated guy. He got like no friends or anything like that. He's really on his own. It really takes a toll on his mind. And because of this, his stress and hormone levels basically like heightens this arachnid borderline symbiote side in him, and now he struggles to balance his human side and arachnid side, which makes him like stronger, but it makes him more reckless and more aggressive. And you know, I think it would have been cool if this was the symbiote, but I honestly don't think that's what they were intending for, because if it was the symbiote, then it would have been seen on screen at least. But I think maybe Originally, they did want to introduce the symbiotes, but you know, they probably scrapped it, but they still kept a few elements in it because that's what it felt like. If you was to add the symbiote, then I generally think that it would have been the same. I don't think it would have been any different from what it felt like. But the fact that they're introducing like X-Men and all that stuff, you know, it would probably be too much. So I don't know, because we're not getting another Marvel movie until December, but that's for Doomsday, and Spider-Man's not going to be in Doomsday. So you know, we'll just have to wait till later, you know, until we finally get our official symbiote in the MCU. But as you can tell, this movie is clearly about the balancing of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, trying to make a life out of both worlds, if that makes sense. And one thing I don't see anybody talk about is every time that he's talking to someone that he cares about in his suit, you can actually see Peter's eyes through the lenses of Spider-Man. It's not happening when he fights or when he swings around the city. You always see his eyes through the lenses when he's talking to someone that he's close to, like the Punisher and Zendaya. And I think, not Zendaya, but MJ, you know what I'm saying? Tomato. And I just think that's art. The whole movie's art, honestly. And it's simply one of them ones. This is, without a doubt, not only one of the best MCU movies, but superhero movies in general. Tom Holland's performance was spectacular, and with the new director, Destin Daniel Cretton, I think the next trilogy of Spider-Man movies will cement itself as one of the greatest trilogies ever. And the credits, man. I usually don't boast about credit sequences, but this one was special. You see, in the home trilogy, the credits were always stylized by graphics, you know what I mean? You had like stickers or drawings or newspapers, you know what I'm talking about. But here with the Brand New Day credits, it's showing shots of New York and its people just hanging around about, with Steve Lacy playing in the background. It felt so sweet just seeing that. You know, you just seeing New York. I'm telling you, this is what people have been asking for. Spider-Man, New York, be in the streets. It's so sweet. You just have to see the movie to actually understand what I'm talking about. It was such a sweet and calming way to end such a spectacular movie. And, you know, as of me recording it, it just got announced that Spider-Man will be coming to IMAX this week. So yeah, I'm definitely ready to rewatch the movie because I already watched it in standard, but I'm trying to watch it in 40x and ScreenX, and now you're telling me that it's coming to IMAX, so that means I gotta rewatch it 3 more times because I really want to see Spider-Man in different formats, you know what I'm saying? Especially with ScreenX and 40x. Those, listen, I know fear of missing out, FOMO, whatever, all that jazz, but listen, those are fun experiences. If you really like movies, those are fun experiences, and I don't want to miss out on that. So I'm definitely gonna be taking my off days to get them tickets whenever I can. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's all I got for this review. Y'all have yourselves a damn good one.